everyone, it's Alison Heikkila. Thank you so much for joining me. We are going to be working with the June 2025 Hero Arts Card Kit of the Month. I've already made a couple of cards with this kit, but I've only used the clear stamps. I haven't used the standalone dies. So these are the standalone dies. Excuse the fact that I don't have like an actual good looking card for them to be on, but I get them before they're released, so that's why they're just on that white backer. So I already took some time and die cut a ton of pieces, but not everything. There's still a lot that I didn't use, but you can see that I grabbed some Catherine Pooler ink, and I'm gonna start with Coral Cabana. I really love this color, especially for summertime cards. So I've got the seashell and I die cut it twice out of cream cardstock, and I'm using my, oh my goodness, favorite waffle flower brushes. I keep talking about them, I know, and I know a couple of you have gotten them, and I hope you love them as much as I do because they're amazing. These are the Shader 1 Plus brushes, so they're double-sided and they're at an angle, which is a very comfortable type of brush for me to hold when the brush tips are at an angle. So I thought that the Coral Cabana looked nice on that first one, but I wanted to make the second one a little different. So I grabbed Desert Storm Memento ink and I added that to the second shell. They're the same shell, I just wanted to do them differently. But I thought that it needed a little bit of pink, so I went back to my pink brush and added a little bit of the Coral Cabana that was just left, the residual ink that was on the brush. So I used that. And then I said, you know what? The first shell is a little too bright. Let's go back with Desert Storm and tone that down a little bit. So now I'm going to take the crab, and I have Rockin Red from Catherine Pooler. That's one of the only, I only have 2 full-size pads. They were both given to me, and that's one of them. The other one is Grape Crush, which I use often. So I've got my little crab on a gel press petite plate. You can use whatever you've got, you know, if you've got one of those waffle flower brushes or one of those sticky mats, whatever. But that's holding my little crab in place while I ink it up. I'm sorry that I'm a little low on the screen. I didn't realize at all because my camera, my phone is above me when I'm working, if I'm sitting down. And when I ink blend, I tend to sit down instead of stand up. And I just didn't realize that I was so low in the frame, and I apologize. So now I have an ink from Pinkfresh Studio. This is Gathered Twigs. It's a little bit redder than I would have liked. That whole collection is a little bit redder than I was hoping. I was hoping for a bit more of a neutral pack of browns. I have the 4-pack from them, but it works for this. That was a good start. So I used my brown brush, applied some of that Gathered Twigs, and now I'm going back in with the Desert Sand and adding a little bit more color to that tote bag. You can opt to leave those circles that are cut out in if you want to, if they haven't fallen out, or you can glue them when you're making your card, but I really like the open weave that it creates. So now I've got the handles, and I'm going to work on that. I've grabbed a piece of scrap paper just to show you that I'm just cleaning off the plate. I hope I stay in frame. Guys, I didn't check. Oh, I'm not in frame. I'm so sorry. I really need to work on that. You know what it is? I'm looking at my center line on my glass mat, and I thought that I was in a good spot, and I wasn't. So what I'm going to need to do is make a longer arm for my camera rig. I just used a PVC pipe to make it, and it's cheap and effective, and that's what I use. But I need to make a longer arm since I have this bigger glass mat. It's bigger than the one that I used to use. Anyway, getting back to this, I'm doing the handles, and you can make the handles any color you want. I just wanted them to coordinate with the bag directly. And actually, it's the opposite side of the craft cardstock that I used. This particular craft cardstock has a light side and a dark side, kind of like the Force. And I used the darker side for the bag and the lighter side for the handles. It's not really visible on camera, and probably no one's going to notice in person either, but I knew, and that was all that mattered. So now I have the little like leather looking pieces that attach the handles to the bag, and I grabbed Be Mine from Catherine Pooler and just added a touch of that ink to the top side of those pieces. They'll actually wind up going on the bottom because I want the shadow to be on the bottom. I also have the lower portion of the tote bag, and that I also used Be Mine. Now you can go crazy and use pattern paper. You can use different colors for all of these parts. I just wanted to keep things simple at first. just because it was my first time, and I tend to go simple the first time I use something, and then I up the ante later, but that's not always the case. Anyway, here we have our baguettes, and my goodness, making these, I'm in such a mood for some like semolina bread. Oh, such a mood with like butter on it, and that's it. I don't need anything else. Just give me some semolina, some butter, maybe a little cheese, but we don't need to even do that. So I'm using Vintage Photo Distress ink and added just a touch of color to that to brown it up a bit. Now I have Crushed Violet from Catherine Pooler. I'm going to use that on my purple flowers. I went a little heavy at first. I should have dabbed off my brush. My Crushed Violet is super duper juicy because it's pretty new, and I just kind of forgot because I'm so used to working with felt pads like Distress inks that I sometimes forget how squishy and juicy those other the Catherine Pooler inks are. So now I grabbed Sage, also from Catherine Pooler, and I'm going to just add a little bit of shadowing to my greenery, and then I'll have a finished bouquet of flowers, which is lovely. So now I'm just going to start gluing. It's super easy to put this stuff together, you guys. You really don't have to do a whole lot of fussy stuff. I mean, the little bits that go on the handles can be a little fiddly. The glasses are probably the most fiddly thing. But it's all pretty straightforward. If you use like a jewel picker or something like that, it's pretty easy. You could use tweezers. But I didn't have any issues with putting this whole shebang together. And it's just a lovely set. It's just so, so pretty. Okay, so I've got my bar magnet on top of there from Glassboard Studios just to hold everything in place. And now I'm adding those little attachments to the handles. But I wanted to show you first, because it's pretty self-explanatory how that goes, how the glasses go. Although I think that that's fairly self-explanatory. Although what are the parts that go over your ear? The foldy parts. I don't know. Words are escaping me right now. I was a little confused with that. You'll see in a second that I think that I have it right, but then I think I have it wrong. But then it turns out that it was right. Again, this is probably the most fiddly part of the whole situation, but it's a great set. I really love Hero Art's Card of the Month kits. I don't have a ton, but the ones that I have, I use often. And I am so happy that I can start sharing these with you every month now, because they're so much fun to play with. They're one of my daughter's favorite companies too. When I told her that I was going to be working with Hero Arts a little bit more closely, she was beyond thrilled. Like, she lit up like I was so surprised. I mean, I knew she loved them, but she was thrilled. So anyway, back to this. I took my white Jelly Roll pen, and I'm just adding some highlights to my shades so that it looks like they have a reflection. And now you can see how I've started to assemble this, although nothing's glued yet. I cut out the little whale. It kind of reminds me of that company that you might know, and I thought it would be really cute on the bag. Here is a piece of paper that I had gessoed. This is from like a workbook from my son, and he gave it to me when he was done with it, and he's like, here, have fun with it. So I gessoed some of the pages, and this was just picking up ink. I have no idea what ink it is. I don't know. It was so long ago that I did it. But now you can see that I used that little frame. Phoenix made that for me on his 3D printer so that I can see what area I want to isolate when I'm making a project. So it's 4 by 5 1/4 on the interior. So it's really easy for me to kind of see how something's going to look. So I chose the area that I wanted to work with. And now I'm going to start really putting everything together. Because before I just kind of laid it out and I wasn't really sure how it was going to go. And now I'm like confident in all of that. So if you've got old workbooks from your kids, the end of the school year is here, don't throw that stuff out. Grab some gesso over it. And then when you need to like pick up ink after you've stenciled something or you've sprayed a bunch of ink on your surfaces, pick it up with that paper. And then you've got some really cool backgrounds that you can use. And they'll just be ready for you. You can also use pattern paper. I just didn't want to at this point. There's a ton of pattern paper out there that you can use. You can use solid cardstock. You can paint your background. You can do all sorts of things. I just wanted something kind of watery looking, and that just happened to fit the bill perfectly. So I'm just gluing all this stuff. I've got my Barely Arts glue, and I'm just attaching all of these pieces to where I want them to go. And this is looking so cute. And I didn't really have to think a whole lot to put this card together. The pieces just work. It doesn't matter what you do with them, it just looks good. And I love that about a die set. Sometimes you really have to think and concentrate, but with this, you don't have to. I mean, there's some arranging that you've got to do, but once you know what pieces you want to work with, you're good to go. So now I have the tassel. I'm trying to figure out where that goes. And this is so cool. This is one of the die cuts, and it's a jump ring. So if you think about like jewelry making, jump rings are used often in jewelry, right? It's just a ring that has a split in it, right? A cut so that you can attach things to it. And that's what this ring is. So you can just attach it wherever. And I decided to glue my tassel right where that seam is so that it doesn't fall off. But I didn't attach the tassel to anything else. So you'll see later, the tassel is free floating because of that cool jump ring. I think that's so clever. Like, I need to use that on other sets. That's the coolest thing. I've never seen anybody have anything like that before. And I think it's really smart. So now I'm just figuring out, all the rest. And I pretty much had it all figured out before, which is rare for me. So this is the stamp set that comes with the card kit. So this is all one kit here. And I chose one of the sentiments, Girls Just Want to Have Fun. And I stamped it with Twilight ink, VersaFine Clair, onto one of the pieces that I cut off of the background paper, because it had a little bit of that color on there, a little splatter, and I thought that would be perfect. Again, this is workbook paper, so it's really thin and kind of chintzy. So look at that. Look how cool that is, having that little movable part. Oh, and by the way, I did color the crab's eyes with a black pen. I die cut the sentiment again. I didn't stamp it again, just die cut it so that it was more substantial. So I did attach it to some cardstock. You don't have to do this, but I just thought that it would be nice, and it pops it up a little bit too, which I also like. How cute is this card, you guys? I think it's adorable. I already know who I'm going to send it to. She's a very beachy gal. She loves being out in the sun. She loves to just go to the beach, and I think that she's really going to like this card. I thought of her the whole time I was making it, so I need to make sure that I send it out like tomorrow. I added a little twisted Citron and some Salvaged Patina to the sentiment, and I also used both of those colors on my card base. I did not film that part because it really wasn't necessary. I just ink blended the background. And that's it for my card. Isn't it cute? I think it's adorable. I love that crab, and I am not a fan of crabs in any respect, but I think that guy is pretty cute. Although I do like Sebastian. But anyway, I hope you like this card. And I hope you'll visit Hero Arts to see what else is in the card kit, because there's more. I'll be back very soon with another video. Be well, stay safe, peace out.